One other thing about service at this particular dealership is that at 5 o'clock, they don't answer the phone anymore. I don't know if they're still there, but I tried calling them multiple times after 5 o'clock, and they said they're closed. And I mean, like, I work till 5, 6, 7 o'clock sometimes, and if I want to call them up and find out how my car's doing, this is Cadillac. This is not Hyundai, Kia, Toyota. This is Cadillac. And their service department, you can't call them after 5 o'clock. Why? I asked, and they said, well, we're very busy checking out other people, so we don't have the time or manpower to answer the phones. Okay. All right. You do that. You do with that information what you want. I think that's ridiculous. Welcome to another episode of Out of Spec Dave, where today I'm just Dave. I'm just doing Dave things. Got this sweatshirt for my sister for Christmas. I was like, you know what? I got to pull this thing out and wear it. Beautiful day here in Rowayton. The tide is in. The boats are not out. But I do have the ELR over here, the Cadillac. Just got it back from Cadillac for service. And it's a little windy out here, so we're going to go inside. But I just wanted to update everyone about the dealership experience with the Cadillac ELR, both from a service standpoint and my perception as far as what they're doing as far as selling the Lyriq. So let's get into it. So what you see here is a 2016 Cadillac ELR. This has 107,000 miles on it. It is a beautiful car. It's a Gen 1 Volt. I've said this before. Generation 1 Chevy Volt in a tuxedo. And it is substantially nicer than the Volt in so many ways. I mean, it's really a much more refined vehicle. I love the styling on the outside. I love the styling and the core and the material choices on the inside. It really is a beautiful car. Now, there are some drawbacks to this car. The back seats are basically useless. It's a two-door. Getting in and out of the driver's side is much easier for me than the Volt. But the doors open wide, but the B-pillar on the Volt is pretty far forward for me, so I kind of wedge myself in between the steering wheel and the B-pillar. But in this car, I got plenty of room. I like the wheels. I like the looks. The trunk is small. There is no frunk, but man, is this thing good looking. This car lived its life in Florida, somehow found its way up here in Connecticut, or actually, I bought it in New Jersey. What am I saying? And I don't know. They just couldn't sell it. So I've taken it to the dealership. I had a few things wrong with it, little minor things that I wanted to get fixed, and I want to take you through exactly what I've done with this vehicle. One of the first things I did was I put new tires on the car. Originally, I was going to put the OEM Bridgestone Potenzas. But A, there were a lot more money, and B, a lot more money than these Continentals that I put on. But they were not rated anywhere nearly as high as the Continentals. And so I spent about $1,325 for all four tires. I got an alignment done and much smoother ride. I had two different tires in the front brand-wise versus ones in the rears. Now I've got all four good rubber all the way around, and looking so much better and riding so much better. So I did go with all seasons. This is not the sport or the performance version. So I just went with the all-season tires, not summers or anything like that. And so far I'm super happy with them. The one thing that I don't know if you can see this, but in this grill, there's a lot of little nicks. It's kind of maybe hard to see. You can see it right there. I'm not going to fix that. That's experience. That's luxury experience. Some chips up there, very minor. But from this distance, you don't see it. When you get up super close, you do. But man, I'll tell you what, I really enjoy this car. Also, because it was a Florida car, look at the blacked out windows. I mean, I don't know if this is I got to take this in for a VIN verification in Connecticut. I hope it passes. I do not want to take, you know, the window tints off this car because, boy, they look good. And yeah, so let's go in and talk about what I did with respect to getting this car serviced. All right, so the first thing that I noticed in this car, and before I bought it, was the seat itself has a pretty nasty hole in it, the driver's seat. And I went to a sort of a leather vinyl repair guy in Norwalk, and he said he was unable to work on the seat because there's an airbag where he would have to actually patch the place, the spot, and he was technically not allowed to do that. I asked him to, you know, what would he do to fix it? He said he would go to Cadillac and he would buy a whole new skin, the entire seat, not the seat itself, but the skin. And he said he would come back to me with a price. He never did. And I didn't chase him only because I have a feeling it would be really expensive. And, you know, I don't know, this may be a sort of a brown duct tape repair that I might do, or I might just leave it the way it is. It does look pretty nasty, but you don't really see it. When you're sitting in the car, my back covers it, so no big deal. The next thing I wanted to do with the vehicle was replace the tires, which I just mentioned and I showed outside. I got Continental Extreme Contact. They were list price $331 from Town Fair Tire, discounted to $256.99, and then I got them balanced. I needed 2 new sensors because I had a fault in the car when I first got it, that the TPMS sensors, 2 of them weren't working. I think it was the front left, rear right, and what else did it do? And I got an alignment. So with everything, it was $1,246 plus tax. So it was $1,325. And so, you know, I'm very pleased that the road noise is much quieter with these tires than what I had on there before, which was a combination of, I think I had Toyos in the front and Bridgestone Potenzas in the rear, or vice versa. I can't remember, but now I've got all 4 tires. I think it's super important if you're going to, on an older car, maybe you don't need to have all 4 tires of the same, but if you have an all-wheel drive car, it's much more important. This is a front-wheel drive car, so, you know, maybe not that critical, but there's something about, for me, I got to have all 4 of the same tires on my vehicle. So I'm happy I did that. And then right after I got the 4 tires, some of you may remember I went out skiing with my daughter Katie out to Whistler. We had an amazing time. I didn't make a video out there because I ended up getting a BMW X5. There weren't any rental EVs out there. All right, so as a Tesla drives by, unfortunately, Alamo does not have any electric cars, but that's not going to stop us from having a good time and or making a video. Right, Katie? She's so happy. She's like, no, this is the best thing ever. No electric car. Oh, man. All right, so even though they don't have an electric car here, the guy offered me up this X5. Look at this thing. This thing is sweet. I can't wait to drive one of these. I thought it was an X7 when I first saw it. I've forgotten how huge these kidney beans have gotten on these BMWs. But look, you know, we're going to take it up. We're going to drive up to Whistler. And we just had fun. We disconnected. We went skiing. Ski. It was a lot of fun, really had a great time. And in the meantime, when I got back, I took my car over to Cadillac, the local Cadillac dealership here in Fairfield County. And just, you know, I got to tell you, my experience was less than stellar from a communication standpoint. I like the guys over there. I think they're kind of doing their best, but they're in this this dealership mode. And it was kind of weird. I wasn't supposed to drop my car off until Thursday of a certain week. And on Monday, when I got back from Whistler, I actually flew out a night early. I got the red eye. So I was home Monday, and I said, let me bring it in. So nice woman on the phone, she said, sure, bring the car in. She says, I'll bring it in later this afternoon. And by 2 o'clock, I got an email from the service manager in bold caps, all caps, saying, you did not show for your service appointment. And it wasn't rude, but it was just weird. Like, I didn't even get over there yet. It was only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so that started off just from a feeling of like, why are you shouting at me that I was a no-show? And I still had the rest of the afternoon. I was dropping off laundry. I was doing all these things. So it was just weird. So I called them up and they said, oh, sorry. Yeah, we just want to make sure you're coming in. So, okay. So I dropped off the car, and these were the things that I wanted to have them take a look at. The heated seats, when I first got the vehicle, worked. And they don't anymore. They kind of have been intermittent. I think the passenger seat in the front, forget about the rear seats. They don't even have heated seats. But the passenger seat was getting a little bit warm, but the driver's seat was not at all. And so I wanted them to kind of take a look at what that problem was. I had read online that there was a module underneath the driver's or the passenger seat that controls both seats. And sometimes the wires get burnt out, or you have to replace that module. So I figured, let me see what that would be all about. The next thing, oh, and by the way, just for them to look at the problem, it was $215. The nice thing about that is that if you do choose to fix the problem that they diagnose, they put that money towards the actual price to fix it, whatever it is. And so I think that was that I know some dealerships do that and some don't. My local dealership did that. The second thing is that I noticed that whenever I would put the high beams on, the horn would beep, 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 beep. And then when I would take the high beams off, beep, 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 the high beams would go off, or the horn would go off. And I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, what happened here? I got the heated seats aren't working, and now all of a sudden I've got maybe a short and so I'm thinking electrical issues. And this car's got 107,000 miles on it. And while it looks amazing on the inside and the outside, you know, electrical problems are something that are very costly to chase. So I was kind of concerned about that. So I wanted to have that fixed, and they said they would take a look at that. They said that would be another $215 for them to look at it. Separate issue. So, okay. The other thing that I asked them to do was just to go over the whole car. The suspension at low speed, you hear a little bit of squeaking, nothing terrible, but I wanted them to kind of go over the whole car and make sure that everything was good. Other than that, I also asked for an estimate to replace the entire Q system in the vehicle, because this is the screen. I was able to get the Apple Carplay to work, and that's pretty cool. It's I like that because I can put Waze up on the screen. But there's a couple of spots that are sort of dead when you hit the touch screen, and I figured, let me see how much that would cost. There are some aftermarket units that you can purchase that are maybe $400 or $500. I knew it was going to be more money, asking Cadillac to fix it or to replace the unit. But I said, let me see how much that would be. And then there is also another system that I'm going to be looking at that replaces the actual, just the screen itself. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out of this sun right here because it's super blinding right now. I figured let me at least get the, you know, get a price as far as how much it would cost to replace the Q system, the radio system, the Q system, they call it. They went over the whole car and they said everything looks really quite good. It needed wiper blades. They wanted $70 for that. I said I would take care of that myself. The rear license plate, one of the bulbs is out, and I can't remember how much they said to quote that, but I figured, let me do that myself. I'll take care of that. And one of the things they kept stressing was the fact that this ELR is a very rare car. Do you know that this is not, this is maybe the 5th one they've seen, you know, since 2014 in their dealership, and parts are really hard to get. And all of a sudden, this started to become a little bit of a theme here, where at the end of Thursday, so I dropped the car off on Monday. I got that email saying I was a no-show, but I still dropped it off that day. At the end of the day on Thursday, I didn't hear anything from them as far as a status. And then Friday, I called them around noon, and they said, yeah, we haven't looked at the car yet. And I said, oh, okay, because I was planning on doing some filming, because I wanted to do some filming of the ELR versus the Volt. And he said, well, you can come pick up the car, but I don't have a technician that can work on the car until next week. And I said, well, I mean, I had an appointment for Thursday, and what he said was, this is the service rep, he said, oh yeah, but there's only one qualified service rep here at Cadillac that's able to work on electric cars. And I said, but this isn't an electric car problem that I'm asking for. I'm asking to replace, how much to replace a Q system. I'm asking to, you know, how to look at why the heated seats don't work, because that's a 12 volt issue. That has nothing to do with the, you know, the high voltage battery pack or anything like that. And also, you know, the fact that the horn is beeping on when I'm doing the high beams, it doesn't matter. Here at General Motors or at Cadillac, we have technicians that become EV certified. And if they're not EV certified, then they can't work on an electric car, period. And they've only got one guy there that has decided to, apparently it was a voluntary thing. It's not as if this dealership is forcing or making their service technicians to learn how to service cars, or electric cars. And here they are selling Lyriqs, or at least trying to, which I'll get to in a moment. And so, you know, the idea here is that they got one guy to look at it. And, you know, so the following week I was in Miami at a conference. I got back, and Thursday, by Thursday of that week, there was some miscommunication. I was having to reach out on Tuesday or Wednesday, you know, to find out what's going on with my car. And I just wasn't getting the feedback that I really wanted. I ended up getting an email. They went to the wrong email address. They left me a voicemail. I called back. It just was a bit frustrating, to say the least. But, all right, so at the end of the day, parts and labor to fix the heated seats. You ready for this one? Sit down. $1,425 plus tax, and 7 to 10 days for the parts availability. So that was a no-go. I mean, I don't really care. We're probably going to end up putting this car down in Florida, if we do keep it, which I believe we will for a while. And so, you know, I don't really need heated seats down in Florida. The heated steering wheel works. It's not great. By the way, the heated seats in the Volt are awesome on the cloth seats. They're tremendous, but that one doesn't have a heated steering wheel. So I spent $215 to find out that it would cost me $1,425 to fix the heated seats. When I read what they said is, noted no heated seat operation on driver's side and 30-degree temperature change on passenger side. So upon the diagnosis, noted the driver's seat cushion heater element has high resistance and recommend replacement and retesting. So I don't really know what parts were needed. You know, the module itself that tends to go on these Cadillacs for the heated seats, which is about $135 part, is only part of the solution for what it needed. When I called back to ask the service manager who wrote up the ticket about, why is it so expensive? He said that the parts were at least over $600 and labor at $215. It's going to take them time. So anyway, declined to do that. And then the horn incident, that's normal operation. What's crazy about this is the horn is designed to beep when you're actually putting the high beams on. It's a pedestrian safety signal. My vehicle is equipped with an automatic sound generation and manual alert. The automatic sound is generated to indicate the vehicle's presence to pedestrians. The sound changes as the vehicle speeding up or down. And I get that, but there's also a feature there that an alert can be sounded manually while driving, if you're in parking lots. You can use this feature to alert people who may not hear your vehicle approaching at speeds less than 40 miles an hour to manually sound the pedestrian safety signal. You pull the turn signal level all the way toward you momentarily. And it's basically tied to it's like tied to the high beams of some sort. The high beam headlights and indicator light will turn on, and a soft note alert will momentarily sound. When the turn signal is released, the high beam headlights and indicator will turn off. So it's just a way to let people know you're there. I guess that's kind of cool. It says repeat for additional activations of the pedestrian safety signal. But I agreed to pay $215 to find out why my horn was beeping when I was putting on my high beams. And the good news is they didn't charge me. It was the service, the writer, who just didn't know that feature existed. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if I were servicing Cadillacs, I would think that if that's a feature of a Cadillac, I would know that and just say, hey, listen, that's the way it works. Good news is I wasn't charged $215 for that, and that's pretty much the end of it. So I went in to pick up the car yesterday on Saturday, and they had a Lyriq on the showroom floor, and I sat in it and I was talking to the sales guys. As a matter of fact, super nice guys, and I was asking them how are sales going, because what's happened is the Cadillac has lost, the Lyriq has lost the ability for them to get the $7,500 rebate from the federal government. I don't know why that's the case, but there's some components that are in the car that it's no longer eligible for the $7,500. And so we were talking about that, and he says, but GM has stepped up to the plate, and they are actually encourage or giving you the $7,500. And it was so funny the way that they were talking in the dealership. Was everything was, well, that car is $1,300 a month and that car is $900 a month, but this one is $700 a month. And I was like, well, I don't understand. Like, they're all talking leasing, and like, to me, when I buy a car, irrespective of if I'm buying it or leasing it, I talk about what is the purchase price of the car versus the MSRP price of the car. So what they're doing with the Lyriqs, or at least trying to, which I'll get into in a second, is they are juicing the residuals from somewhere around 61% to 70 or 71%. They're not offering the $7,500 as a cap cost reduction, which just eliminates the amount of principal you have to reduce between the time you take the lease out and the time that the lease is up. They're actually increasing the residual, so you have to pay less principal over the life of the lease, which, I don't know, I guess that's fine. It's pretty much the same math, but it was interesting that they're juicing the residuals as opposed to keeping the residuals where they are. And so in 3 years, let's just say, Cadillac is going to be getting back a bunch of Lyriqs at some pretty high residual rates. I would imagine no one will be buying those off of lease. If you do, you probably want to get your brain checked, because the value are going to be, if we have any indication as far as how soft this market is for buying or leasing EVs today, 3 years from now, man, there's going to be some smoking hot deals on Lyriqs. Right now, this dealership in my county, Fairfield County, they have 4 Lyriqs. They can't sell them. The only one that has any interest is the one that has Super Cruise. The other 3 that they have does not have Super Cruise. And so, you know, these things are not super cheap. I sat in it. It was great. I liked it. I had not sat in a Lyriq before. I have not driven one. I want to. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like the styling of the vehicle, but I do appreciate the effort of the vehicle and the fact that it's a pure EV. But this is a Cadillac, and the fact that the 3 out of the 4 that are sitting on this dealer's lot don't have Super Cruise, and meanwhile, you know, you get autopilot standard with the Tesla. I was a little bit surprised that not every Lyriq had Super Cruise. And what the guys told me is that they basically have no interest on these vehicles unless they have Super Cruise, which I could understand. I mean, that's a mapped system. But if you can't even buy a quite expensive Cadillac Lyriq, it doesn't even have the hardware in it to be able to support Super Cruise, that's a big miss. So, yeah, I mean, look, the dealership experience is one. Super nice people there. You know, they're somewhat limited now on the service side by the people there that are they only have one technician that is able to sell or able to service you know, the electric vehicles, including my car, because my car is an EV, the ELR. And then on the sales side, it's great because, you know, at least 2 of the salespeople in there, they're EV guys, but they're not driving what they sell. And so that was interesting to me. So, I mean, they are expensive cars. Let's be honest. They are expensive, but I'm happy I have my car back. I can start doing some comparison videos between this and the Volt. I've been driving the Volt every day. I had a headlight go out on that. I replaced both bulbs yesterday myself, no big deal. And the bulbs that were in the Volt were very dim. They were kind of like a very yellowy light and very dim. And then when Kathy and I picked up we drove the Volt in the other night, went to see Back to the Future, the musical on Broadway. And when the guy pulled it out at the end of the night to deliver the car to us, we had a padiddle going on with the Volt. So that wasn't very good. But, you know, I was praying I wasn't going to get pulled over on the way home. And I was praying that I could even see, because it was like very, very dull and dim. I did upgrade to a much brighter bulb in the Volt. But the headlights in this ELR are LEDs, and they're really good. So anyway, I'm going to spend some more time on the ELR, talking about functionality. I'm going to do a video 2014 versus 2016. I know this is an obscure car. There were only 500 plus 543 of these made in 2016, but it really is a nice car. And for the prices that you can buy them for now, assuming you're looking for a hybrid for that use case, I think it's worth the extra money over a Volt, in my opinion. Assuming you're just looking for a 2-seater and you don't need a lot of trunk space. The Volt is really nice. I'll do the comparison, but you got a lot of room. It's a hatchback, you know, 4 doors. Even though there's not a huge amount of room in the back seat, we did go out with another couple in the Volt, just to kind of see what that was like, and it worked. You know, it worked. So anyway, appreciate you guys sticking with me this long. For the service update on the Cadillac ELR. I'm definitely not going to be pulling the trigger on the heated seat. I'm definitely not going to be pulling the trigger on the Q system. I'm going to have to research that. Other than that, the car's great. I'm really enjoying it. And with that, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks again for watching another episode of Out of Spec Dave. Take care now. Bye-bye.